Hey, Icarus here for Act 2. So the first thing I did when I last left off was I did that very same recipe I showed for the bow, but for this sledgehammer, serrated sledgehammer. So this was just I bought this off of Groost as a white base, and it had the sockets already linked. And then I did the same recipe as before with the whetstone and the rare rustic sash, and that returns this. So I switched over to ground slam, went over here to the Chamber of Sins, and cleared out the boss of that area. His name escapes me at the moment, Fidelitas. And then coming back, you can get the Herald of Ash from Groost. I'll offer it to you. And then I went and bought Herald of Purity, and I equipped both of those right away. When I switched over to Ground Slam, I also went back to Act 1 and bought Blood and Sand. So going from there, just went and killed Creighton, finished the trial, came back, cleared out all this, and then when I got to the wetlands, well, first off, in the wetlands, I helped Oak because this is going to be Wave of Conviction with Righteous Fire. And Oak gives us 1% regen, which is great for Righteous Fire, 20% physical damage, which is good for Wave of Conviction, and 2% physical damage reduction, which is great for anyone. So we help Oak there, and then we farm the wetlands, and I farmed it for a really long time. And that's because the Weaver is super dangerous. I was hoping to hit some stuff with some Chaos Resistance, or to maybe find an Amethyst Flask. Didn't get either of them, so I just kept farming and farming and farming, till I was like seven or 8 levels even over. I think it was level 26, level 27. And that may seem extreme, and it is pretty extreme, but the Weaver is incredibly deadly. If you're following the Gauntlet, or assuming you're playing it, you're going to see so many people die to that. With the new mods, it's just crazy. Now with the trial mods that I have here, I could have gone in almost right away and been fine. But I'm playing this as if I'm playing the Gauntlet that's coming up, in which case it's really dangerous. The reason the Weaver is so bad is she has a very strong projectile attack, and she's going to get 2 additional projectiles with it from the mods. And then on top of that, it's going to be 100% increased damage. So instead of just 1 projectile, it's 3, so that's times 3. And instead of just the base, it's 100% more, so times 2. So she ends up hitting for 6 times harder than she would when you're just normally encountering her. And she's very deadly in that area. So the best thing you can do is get some Chaos Resistance on your gear. I didn't find a single piece. The Chaos Resistance as a mod doesn't show up till level 16. It's a relatively rare mod. But if you get some, that's great. Unfortunately, there's not really a convenient place to get on the tree. We can go here and get 7%, but it's a lot to get that. We'd rather just keep getting some life and finishing our tree. Oh, I should note that I went up and got versatility. I just needed this. I wanted it for the dexterity and intelligence to make sure I could have all the attributes I needed, and the movement speed isn't bad either. It's not a bad 1-2 to take. It helps with what we're doing as well, so it's not a bad thing to do, and we can always refund it later, which I probably will relatively soon. Well, how relatively soon? I'll update you at the end of Act 3. It may not be immediate, because I wouldn't mind having those attributes for a little bit longer. So in any case, the map boss of this is not difficult at all. Once you've over-leveled as extremely as I did for the Weaver, you're just blasting everything anyway. When I was farming, excuse me, the wetlands dropped a limb split, which is a fine weapon just for me to finish out with, so I replaced that. The Weaver, by the way, does physical 50% and chaos 50%, so I covered the fizz as much as I could, got a bunch of armor up, so at least we were blocking that half of it well. And even with all that over-leveling, by the way, it still almost reached that threshold where I would have said that the character was dead. Remember, I said if it got to that point, I would say I'd consider the character dead. Didn't quite get there, but man, it was really close. It was like, whoop. And that's how hard it can hit, even with the extreme amount of over-leveling that I did. But anyways, after that, zipped right through. I don't think there's anything you really need to worry about besides the Weaver in Act 2. Just don't forget to get your trials done, or you'll have to go back and get them, but you guys know all this from the regular game. Yeah, I don't think there's anything too important Gauntlet specific about Act 2. Nothing is piquing my memory. Some people advocate taking Lyra for the resist, but I just don't. I think you should either, unless your build is specifically doing it for some reason, take Oak, or you should just get your 2 points and move on. So that's what I've done. And I will update you guys on Act 3 in a bit.